Jo Dee Messina is here. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Making yourself available. We're going to talk about a song that Phish fans are familiar with, but before we get to all of that, a little bit of background on family. So we're going to talk about your faith as it is now, but growing up, was faith in the family?
You know, my mom always would talk about the Lord. I was born into a Catholic family. Then my older sister, who was 10 years older than me, would take me to the Assembly of God or the local Baptist church, or we were, would hop around. And so I knew of Jesus. I knew of the Lord growing up, but I didn't know him. Do you know what I mean? I knew the stories and he was born on Christmas and rose on Easter, and it wasn't, and there were moments in my life now that I can look back and go, oh, you were there. Like you were there. I wouldn't have noticed that then or recognized it because my eyes weren't looking that way. And so, but my sister, who's 10 years older than me, one of my sisters, she went into the missionary right after the Air Force.
Really?
So she went from high school to Air Force and then got an early discharge to go into the missionary. So she was very, she had a lot of pouring into my life about the Lord.
Okay.
And, she'd always say things like, lay it at the foot of the cross. Gotta hand it to Jesus. These things, which to someone who isn't familiar with that is like, what does that even look like? But I'm sure now she's like, oh, finally, 20 years later, she's finally getting it. Yeah.
Well, was there a moment, was there a time where you kind of felt like, okay, I can own this, this is mine, as opposed to parental influences, or?
I had told an audience the other day, I said, it's so much easier to love the man than the book, right? Because we grow up learning the stories and hearing that kind of stuff. But when I was, and it was funny because just last week I was saying, why? Like, I wasn't at the altar at an all-time low going, help me, I give in, or
right. I
wasn't like, I don't want to go to hell, help me, Jesus. Or what it was. On my front porch, I was very much at a low in my life. My mother had become ill. We were making really hard, life and death decisions on a daily basis. The pressure of maintaining the touring staff that I had going at the time. I had a 1-year-old baby that just turned 1, and then a 4-year-old. So, it was like, and Jesus showed up. It wasn't me crying out, going, help, help. I think I had asked somebody for help, and they turned around and walked away, and I was standing there alone on my front porch. And I just felt this presence and heard in my spirit, no, she's mine. And I was like, that was Jesus. I don't know him, but I know that was him. And so, I enrolled in, I dove in. I'm like, I need to know more.
Right.
And so I enrolled in theology and ministry courses at the King's University. It's a school Jack Hayford started.
Most people say I'm going to go to church more often.
No. I went to church, but I went, my pastor, I'm like, I came here 7 years before I understand a word you said. He's like, good job, Jody. It's just like, thanks a lot. I'm doing good. But yeah, so it all kind of rolled into what it is today.
So you talk about you're not at some bottoming out thing, the classic, the person is on Skid Row and all those kind of things. But obviously there was some health challenges that tend to help us focus on the eternal.
Well, you know what though, my relationship was fixed with the Lord prior to any diagnosis. So that moment where Jesus walked on my front porch happened. I had gone through a few semesters at school, church, women's Bible study, just really building my relationship with the Lord. A lot of quiet time every day, worship every day, just because I want to. Like, I can't wait to get up. My kids are now 6 and 9. So, yes, so now I have to get up early. So to spend that quiet time with the Lord and in the Word, or else I'll watch some really good sermons and then go back to reading the Word and have my quiet time. So that relationship was in place prior to my diagnosis. So it was almost like, okay. Then I had to wrestle with, do you really believe? Do you really believe? And are you okay? Do you believe that God is good? Do you believe that no matter what, he has control over your kids, over your family, over your situation. Like if I were to fall off the face of the planet, do you really believe? Do you believe that you're going to wake up and see Jesus' face? Do you? And so everything, it was almost like that relationship was put there, and then it was put to the test of, okay, but now do you really believe? And so I go back to key moments where I'm like, no, that really happened. No, he was really there. No, and I have to keep going back to like certain moments to remind myself, no, that didn't just, that happened.
Right.
Like that happened.
So there was good stability, whereas some people might get a diagnosis and they feel rocked. Did you feel less rocked?
I felt rocked, but I also had a rock, but no, I did. I felt rocked. Who isn't? It's like, hey, you have cancer. It's like, okay, everything starts spinning.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I think I was telling someone on the way here, I think if I were to fall off the planet tomorrow, I would have said, what a wasted self-glorifying life I had. So I'm like, God, give me some more time. I'd love to see my kids graduate high school, but I want people to know about you. And so that's why when we came out with this song, people were like, oh my heavens.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you don't realize it, but there's a whole world of people out there that have never heard it.
So Corey Asbury's song, Reckless Love.
Yes.
You have recorded. We're familiar with it. We play it on the station. Do you remember the first time you heard it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, the first time I heard that song, Stephanie Gretzinger sang it over at Bethel.
Okay.
At Bethel Music. And I was just like, oh. It just like grabbed my spirit. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to cry. It's so true. That love is unfathomable. We can't even begin to understand the way he loves us. Oh my gosh, I'm going to cry. I'm sorry. And so that song paints such a great picture of the lies we believe. Like he will meet you in the middle of your brokenness and in the middle of your dirt, and nothing will keep him from us. And so I love that and the realness of it. And so it came out on Christian radio, and when Corey recorded it, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's that song. And then a few months ago, I woke up, I started doing it live in my live show, and people didn't hear it. You got my normal crowd is not a crowd of believers, and so when and there are believers in there, I'm not saying that, but not everyone is familiar with. And the funniest thing, the line that people ask about the most is, are you saying 99? Are you saying 90? Are you saying the number 99? I'm like, yes. And they're like, what does that even mean? And it opens the door to say, oh, Jesus told a parable, and you are precious enough. You're that one that is precious enough for him to leave that whole flock of 99 to come get you, to save you and to save me. And so it opens the door for that conversation. And I know people are like, we've heard it because we sing it in church, right?
Yeah.
Everywhere you sing it in church. I know. I've been to churches all over the country. But there's still that, crowd that needs to hear it, needs the message. And so I'm just blessed that, and Corey's been really supportive of it. He'll retweet things for us. And
It's a powerful song. There's no denying it.
Yes.
Now, radio people, we industry types, we draw these lines. Well, there's the country format and there's the Christian format. People just listen to music.
Yes.
But from a career standpoint, was there any trepidation or worries like, I'm going to release this first new music in years?
No, because my heart, and I think I said this in a People magazine, I'm looking at my People magazine article, I said, the fear isn't there because the number on the chart doesn't make me who I am. And for the first time in my life, that's a reality. For me, it was like, it had to be number one, work it. Oh my gosh, leave everything and everyone behind as long as we can get this song to number one. And now it's like, no, someone needs to hear this message, and that's why it's out there. And God will see that whoever needs to hear it hears it, who hasn't heard it already. And that's the purpose of the song. So if people are like, how could you do that? It's just so religious. It's like, well, it isn't really about religion. It's about our Father.
Yeah.
And he loves us. And he loves this hot mess, which is like unbelievable. But it does.
That's the quote I'm going to take away from this, and that's
he loves his hot mess.
Well, that'll be the second one. The fact that the number on the chart doesn't define you. I mean, that
doesn't.
Everybody needs to hear that, whatever their job or situation is. We're always striving for this perfection, for this next thing, thinking that thing is who we are, but it's not.
I'm writing a song about that right now, actually. It's called Kingdom Fall. And it's about investing all that time in that career, and climbing up that ladder. And meanwhile, your kids are growing up and the time is now gone. They have had their first steps. They've played their first game. They've had that first fear, that run-in with fear and being terrified or being uncomfortable, and you missed it. And we build our life on things that just truly don't matter. I mean, really, because and this is what I started to realize it, when my mother became ill, she had heart surgery and then complications due to like the anesthesia and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Believe me, in an arrogant sense, I will say, I tried to pull every string in that hospital. I threw my name around. I threw my relationship around with people that I knew and people I had done fundraising for. And no amount of connections or money can save a person's mind. No amount of money can save a person's heart. If you know someone and love someone that suffers with depression, money can't help that either. Or someone that's going through a devastating loss and their heart is broken, and money can't fix that. I mean, I came face to face with it. And so that's when I was like, when I was first diagnosed last year, and I would go to see my counselor, she'd be like, are you sure you're okay? Because on paper, you should be losing your mind right now. And I said, yeah, but in my heart, where no one can reach, I'm like, we have a God of hearts, I'm like, a person can change your mind, but only God can change your heart. And so I'm like, I tell her, I'm like, really, my heart is okay. And she's like, are you sure? And I'm like, I'm not saying you're out of work, lady, but my heart's good.
So going forward musically, more faith-based music?
Yeah, you know what? I just had a conversation on the way here. I know in the last few weeks, things just started rolling. It is my, I want to put a night of worship together because I'm a worshiper, like on your face, flat, like, this is all for you, God. Not, hey, let's put on a great show, but just on your face, just worshiping. So I would love to go around the country and just be a part of that, I'm still writing, still recording. A lot of it, I can't help but lean towards, the faith-based stuff because that's such a love for me. A guy falls in love and he starts writing all these love songs, you know what I mean? And then you fall in love with Jesus and all of a sudden you just are like, but today you did this and today you showed up here. And it's like you put it in a song, It's just life. So a lot of it leans that way, but we'll see, what's in store for the future, what people have and bring to the table.